Welcome to Setting the Bar, where we sit down for a virtual drink with best-in-class operational leaders. Today's episode is all about the future of accounts payable. What are the biggest challenges that AP leaders are facing in today's world? How are they tackling them? And what does good really look like? So today, I would like to welcome Kriszta, who is the P2P Global Process Owner of Accenture's internal procurement organization, Procurement Plus. Cheers, Kriszta. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Cheers, Divya. I'm delighted to be here.
Thank you. So I think, let's go ahead and just jump right in with our first question. So it's, if you could only track one KPI in accounts payable, what would that KPI be?
So Divya, that would be payment on time. And we don't necessarily only want to assess whether we are paying late, but we also want to assess whether we are paying early. So this KPI can be extremely important to measure how effective we are.
Fantastic. So I think you're almost leading into my next question, which is, why does this KPI matter? Why is this the one that has made it as your number one priority?
Divya, as practitioners, we are very familiar with the dangers of paying late. It can involve paying interest and penalties, can dent supplier and government relations. It risks reputational damage on our brand and can affect credit ratings. In some countries, like in the UK or Australia, there are governmental schemes around prompt payment. And if we are not able to comply with that, sign up, then it can actually have a material impact on our business. On the other hand, paying too early also has its risks, especially nowadays in the new normal or in the COVID crisis, where companies need to hold on to their cash. They need to make sure that they improve their working capital in order to stay liquid and have enough cash flow. So we need to be very careful not to be paying too early, and that is itself also a challenge.
Yeah, it's a very delicate dance, striking the right balance between paying too early and paying too late. Just as a follow-up, I was wondering, do you have a number of sub-KPIs that you use just to track paying early and paying late, or do you just run with those top-level metrics?
Well, at the moment, we are actually measuring payment on time, which is fundamentally focused on not paying late or being able to. But actually, personally, I think we need to start measuring paying early as well. And actually, we recently ran a project where that was very much in focus, because we found that even though we pay a number of companies slightly late, we also pay a lot of companies, for our suppliers, slightly early. So really striking that balance is very important. And in the future, that's what we want to do.
Got it. And as you go about that project, are you finding that it's a relatively easy KPI to track, or are there challenges with making sure that you have the right data or the ability to really make sure that the right reports are in place?
It's not easy to track, right? So we do have challenges around bringing data together across our solutions, across geographies. In some instances, we don't even capture it very well, right? Especially the root cause of why, for example, we are paying early. And we've made several steps in this project to ensure that we actually get to the bottom of that, and we actually have a process in place capturing that information. I think one of the difficulties is that there could be many root causes and many levers, why late or early payment happens. And very often we don't have a great visibility on, what would be the key levers or what we should do first in terms of addressing this challenge. And it can be very different in different countries, in different circumstances, there is different regulations and so on. So having visibility and an understanding on our data, on our processes, is actually very important to address this challenge.
Makes sense. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on using Days Payable Outstanding as a metric for tracking early payment?
Well, so I think it's a useful measure, but it needs to be used with other metrics, because the way it's calculated it sort of doesn't necessarily gives you a full understanding. So we, apart from DPO, we also use the weighted average days to pay, because it also gives you another aspect of that metric. So I think using a combination of these metrics is actually helpful and more insightful.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. Great to hear. So, okay, I think, this has been a really, really great session. Thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you all for watching this episode today. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.